Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Be peace upon for all of you. In this happy opportunity, let me introduce myself to all of you. My name is Erlangga Bagaskara. You can call me Erlangga. I am a college student currently studying at Shipbuilding Institute of Polytechnic Surabaya or Polytechnic Perkapalan Negeri Surabaya. Now I'm majored in health and safety engineering. Okay, on this occasion, I'm gonna talk about safety life during pandemic, which is very important to our daily lives. Anytime and anywhere, safety is important for us, especially during a pandemic like nowadays. And here is the agenda for this presentation. The first is about the opening. The second is introduction of safety. The third is basic explanation of safety. Fourth is the core topic about safety life in some activities during pandemic, and the last is conclusion. Okay, before I go to the core of the explanation, of course I'll give you a trigger related to safety. Okay, let's take a look at this picture first. What do you see? Let me see. There is a man prone on the road. Allegedly, he had just fallen from a motorcycle accident. There is blood around his body. One of his sandals slipped off, and his belongings were scattered about here. So, what a tragic accident. Okay, do you know why he is going through this? The first and last answer was related to safety driving. We can conclude that the man is not safe in driving. Okay, let's move to the next picture. Now, what do you see in this picture? Yeah, it's a funeral procession of a deceased COVID-19 patient. The corpse was put into a sterilized grave. There are six people that wear personal protective equipment or PPI or in Indonesia is APD who were buried straight into the grave. From this picture, we can conclude that the patient who has died has fought the COVID-19 where he was previously exposed to it from other people. I don't know, maybe his family, his friends, or maybe other person while doing activity. Again, safety in preventing COVID-19 here is inert so that he can affect this deadly disease. This leads me to the next point. What exactly is safety? Why is safety so terrible if it is ignored? I'm gonna tell you all about safety before tell about safety life. Safety is the state of being safe. Yeah, safety is the state of being safe. The condition of being protected from harm or other non-desirable outcomes. Safety can also refer to the control of recognized hazards in order to achieve an acceptable level of risk. Okay, now we are understood about safety meaning. Now, a new question appears. What is the importance of safety in our life? The answer is to protect ourselves from the various potential dangers or hazards that can be life-threatening. A lot of people do not think before they act. They try to use tools that they are not trained or equipped to use. We have the responsibility to maintain safe. Proactive review and analysis of potential safety risks can mean the difference between life and death. Safety reduces injuries and costs. Activity injuries and illnesses create a burden for us, but it additionally creates problems for business, productivity loss, and health compensation claims. Overall, safety just makes sense to come home alive. Now, what about safety nowadays? Safety is currently being bred by the entire person in the world to prevent COVID-19 infection. COVID-19 or SARS-CoV-2 causes everyone in this world to be vigilant so as not to be infected with this virus. Everyone wants to live and survive this pandemic safely. Hence, a safety life must be applied by each individual. In safety, there are three terms. There are hazard, incident, and accident. Okay, what is it? Hazard is a potential source of danger that can cause damage. For the example, in this picture, a worker who is not used to PPI while working at home, it is an hazard. Next is incident, an undesirable event when there is a little chance at the time it can result in an accident. For the example is when a box fell and almost hit someone who was passing right under it. And the last is accident. Accident is an undesirable event resulting injury, property damage, job disruption, and environmental pollution. For example, is a man who was electrocuted by a high voltage electricity current that caused him shock and serious burns. Okay, now let's move to safety life. What's the definition? Safety life is one of the necessary elements of life is constantly to avoid adverse impacts. Okay, it's safety life. And then there are some examples of activities that we do during pandemic, like eating on restaurants, traveling, grocery shopping, going to the gym, personal care, back to school, and medical checkup. Through the pandemic, several practices have been established as a cornerstone of coronavirus protection. And while many of us have made this part of our routine, it's still important to remind ourselves and others of their importance. First, wearing a mask is a vital to protecting yourself and those around you from spreading the virus. Because so many coronavirus cases can be asymptomatic, wearing masks protects others in close proximity in case you are exhaling virus-laden droplets into the air around you. A mask should also help with another precaution. Do not, do not touch your face. While it's not the primary way the virus is spread, it is still possible to pick up the virus off a surface and infect yourself by touching your mouth, nose, or eyes. Also be sure to wash your hands regularly and thoroughly with soap, especially after returning to your home from being out in public. It's important to lather your hands with soap for at least 20 seconds to get them fully cleaned. A good practice is to keep a small bottle of hand sanitizer, especially if you are out and about without immediate access to bathroom. Okay. Finally, be sure to socially distance yourself from others. 1 meter, stay at least 6 feet away. Because of distance, the exhaled droplets can travel. You want to make sure you are not close to someone, even if they don't show any symptoms. And yes, that includes even when you're wearing mask. Okay, first I'm gonna to explain safety life in restaurants. Okay, going out to eat is a luxury we had to do without in the early days of the pandemic, with restaurants largely reduced to offering takeout options only. In recent months, though, more eateries have reopened for dining in, but A recent CDC or Centers for Disease Control and Prevention study found that I'm gonna move. Adults with positive SARS-CoV-2 test results were approximately twice as likely to have reported dining at a restaurant than were those with negative SARS-CoV-19 test results. Here is the figure that's shown on the screen. We can see the bar or coffee shop, it includes restaurants, right? Has the adjusted odds ratio number bigger than the other activities or places like shopping, home, restaurant, and other. Okay, let's back to the previous slide. Those results apply to people eating at any place in the restaurant, both inside and outside. The reason, according to the report, is because proper social distancing is often difficult in a restaurant setting and that masks are removed to eat and drink, meaning the chances of spreading the virus via respiratory droplets are increased. Still, many feel comfortable returning to dine-in options. So here are some rules to follow. First is eat on patio. Many restaurants are offering additional outdoor spaces. Some municipalities have even allowed for expanded outdoor seating areas so restaurants can seat more customers outdoors. And for good reason. There's less risk of transmission of the virus via recirculated droplets expelled by infected eaters. Being in the open air of party cuts down on the risk of virus-infected air droplets recirculating as it can indoors, especially if tables are spaced out appropriately. Next is call ahead. If you have got a restaurant in mind, call ahead to see what policies that restaurant has and if they offer party dining. If not, see what their policy is for dining indoors and what reservation options, if any, are available. Also, ask about hours and consider going at off-peak times for visiting, meaning a less crowded restaurant and lower exposure risk. Okay, the third is wear mask. This is a tricky one because, as mentioned before, you have to take your mask off to actually eat and drink, right? Do your best to wear masks at all points when you are not eating and drinking, and when you walk through crowded parts of the restaurants, such as when you are waiting in the lobby or going to the restroom. Get delivery or take out. Okay, it's the last. Um, Delivery and takeout are still the best way. Why? It's safest options right now. Even eating on an outdoor patio doesn't diminish the risk of exposure considering social distancing and mask issues that comes with eating at a restaurant. In any situation where you have to remove your mask for prolonged periods of time, there is going to inherently be a better chance of contracting the virus. Okay, that's all for safety life in restaurant. Next, I'm gonna move to safety life during pandemic. Okay, whether for vacation, work or another matter, traveling is still happening across the country via all the usual methods. Some means of transportation have higher risk than others, and there are many other factors to consider when hitting the road. But, says pulmonary and critical care physician Joseph Capaza, there are still ways to plan for safe travel. He says, by following the guidelines and precautions as they have been laid out over the past several months, like social distancing and wearing masks, it's possible to have safe travel experience. Kabasa said like that. Okay, consider first, the first way is consider where you are coming from. Be sure to be aware of what the COVID-19 levels are for the community in which you live. Because of the risk of asymptomatic spread, you could carry the virus from high spread location to low spread location. And consider where you are going. Just as you want to know the levels of spread where you live, you need to know what the COVID-19 levels are like where you're going. If they're particularly high or have seen a sharp rise recently, reconsider your visit. Yet be traveling into a hot zone that will put you at greater risk of catching the virus. The third way is check the travel restrictions. Many states and local governments have also implemented travel restrictions that may require a quarantine period once you arrive. So be sure to check your destination's guideline. Likewise, check the guidelines for your home local because your destination may be on a travel restriction list requiring you to quarantine when you get back, which has additional logistical consequences. The same goes for international travel, since many countries have put heavy restrictions on accepting visitors from Indonesia due to our high caseload. Okay, then is car trips are best. If you are up for it, hitting the road in your car is best, especially when limiting your passengers to those in your immediate circle, like family members. Just be sure to clean and disinfect your car thoroughly before, during, and after your trip. Design it a low-risk person to be the gas pumper and food runner for most stops. This helps limit the exposure of everyone in your traveling party. Just make sure anyone who leaves the car wears a mask and washes their hands before returning to the car. And for good measure, take the time to wipe down and disinfect the car again after longer stops. While wearing a mask in the car is not as imperative if you're traveling with members of your household. Consider wearing them if you are traveling with people from outside that circle or people who are at high risk. And then the next is staying safe on planes. Not every trip can be handled by car, of course, and with airlines offering deep discounts to encourage people to fly, it can be a much cheaper option. But there are still risks involved, particularly in terms of contact before entering the flight. While there may be fewer people flying these days due to the virus, you will still find yourself in security and boarding lines as well as potentially crowded seating areas. Be sure to follow the standard protocol when in this situation. As much distance as possible, wear a mask, and don't forget to wash your hands after. As for the flight itself, most airlines are disinfecting planes and taking distancing precautions, and airplanes use circulated and filtered air from outside to help keep air in the cabin scrubbed, lowering the chances of the virus spreading. Just be sure to wear a mask, even if the airline you are flying doesn't require it. Please wear a mask. Mr. Kabasa said, flying can be done safely. It's simply up to you to determine your risk factor. Whether or not you choose to fly should be based on your own considerations, of what risk you are willing to tolerate, including COVID-19's rates both at your destination and where you are traveling from, say him. Okay, the next is safety life for grocery shopping. Okay, here are the rules to make your life safe. Grocery shopping is an essential part of our lives that can't stop in the face of a pandemic. That means we have to take a new approach for shopping trips, be it for food or other supplies like toilet paper, shampoo, toothbrush, and other supplies. First, designated a shopper. In the pre-pandemic days, the whole family might load up in the car for a trip to the store. Under the new coronavirus reality, so it's time to reconsider how you shop. That means limiting the number of people from your household who make the trip. While it can be helpful to have multiple people on a grocery trip, by designating one person as the regular shopper, it's also helpful in keeping high-risk people home and away from that danger. Okay, the other is minimize your shopping trips and then choose a low traffic time, wear a mask, and avoid to touching too many surfaces, get delivery or curbside pickup. Okay, that's for shopping. The next is safety life for doing gym. There are six safety life that you can do when doing gym. First, please check your gym's guidelines. Wearing mask and stay distant. Please notice to the health protocol to wear mask and stay distant. And don't forget to washing your hands. Okay, and then after that, bring your own water and towel. Yeah, wipe down everything. Be flexible with your workout plan. Work out at home. Uh, Workout at home maybe is the best way to protect us from the spread of coronavirus because we can do workout at home just like sit up, pull up, push up, and the other methods of gym. The next is safety life and personal care like haircuts and salon visits, massages and spas, nail salons and cosmetics. I'm gonna describe the haircuts and salon visits. Given what we have learned about the virus since the start of the pandemic, getting haircut or hair treatment at your salon is probably safe. As long as your salon or barber shop is taking the proper precautions, because of the length of time these visits take, masks and social distancing are extremely important. Call ahead and see what guidelines your preferred salon is following. Getting a haircut safe environment. Consider booking an appointment at an off-peak time. It's if possible to limit potential exposure. Because of the length, uh, ultimately, ultimately, so it's up to you and how comfortable you feel and how good you are or are not at cutting your own hair. Okay, the next is safety life at school. Yeah, it's some it can be curious and terrible because school is uh, activity in school is like we meet with other students, we meet with teacher in many person. The safety life is like the at-home mindset, back in the habit, take care of child's mental health, remind kids of the new normal, maintain a healthy diet, maintain vaccination schedules, stay safe on campus, clean the dorm room, and embrace video chats. Okay, the maintain vaccination schedules is one way that our campus, Shipbuilding Institute of Polytechnic Surabaya or PPNS, was done to the lecturer. The college students just waiting the schedules for the vaccination. Next and the last I think it's about the medical checkup, safety life well medical checkup. First, you must plan the virtual visits if possible. If necessary to offline visit, see what guidelines and restrictions are still in place. And please wear a mask and stay distant. Okay, now we are going to conclusion. Now let's summarize briefly what we have looked at the explanation before. The importance of safety in our life is to protect ourselves from the various potential dangers or hazards that can be life-threatening. Safety life is one of the necessary elements of life is constantly to avoid adverse impacts. Wearing a mask is vital to protecting yourself and those around you from spreading the virus. By following the guidelines such as wearing masks, stay distant, and wash hands frequently, it's possible to have safe activities experiences and keep from exposure to COVID-19. Therefore, it's very important to carry out safety behavior in everyday life. Okay, thank you. This is my presentation. This is my explanation about a safety life during pandemic COVID-19. Thanks for your attention and I'm going to say something in this slide. This pandemic is still not over. We don't know when this pandemic will over. So please, guys, ladies and gentlemen, keep obey the health protocols to bring about a safety life. That's all from me. Thanks for your attention. I'm sorry if there is some mistakes. That's all. Thank you. Wabillahi taufik wal hidayah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and see you.